So publishing arbitrary lines of text that we typed into a console is fun and all, but it's really not terribly useful in a production sense, right? So let's do something a little bit closer to what you might do in reality. Let's use a built-in Kafka connector to actually monitor a file and publish new lines on that file to a given Kafka topic that then get written out to some other file somewhere else. So this is getting a little bit closer to what you might be doing for, say, log processing, where you have a web server that might have some error log or something being written out, or some access log being written out continually as new traffic comes to your web server, and you want to publish those new lines on your logs into Kafka where they can all be aggregated from all of your web servers into one topic and stored somewhere else. So to do that, we're going to use, again, what's called a connector. And Kafka has a file connector built in that we can just use, but we have to configure it the way that we want. So the first thing we need to do, let's pick one of our sessions here. How about this one? And we'll cd back up out of the bin folder of Kafka. And you can see there's also a conf folder. And inside here, we have some sample configuration properties for some of the connectors that come with Kafka. So you can see we have a connect standalone.properties file, and that's what we're going to use to set up the network environment for our standalone connector server here, because we're just running on one computer. There's also a connect file sync properties that describes the properties of how we're going to store the contents of that stream as it comes in. So the sync is what's going to be the consumer of that stream and dumping the output into a file of our choice. And there's also a connect file source.properties file that can be set up to listen to changes on a given file that we specify and publish that as a producer on a topic on a stream as well. So since these are part of Kafka itself, we don't want to directly modify these files. So let's start by making copies of them someplace safe where we can mess with them. So I'm going to copy these into my home directory. So let's say cp connect-standalone.properties into tilde, which is just a shortcut for my home directory for MariaDev. And we will do the same thing for connect-file-sync.properties and for connect-file-source.properties. Okay, so now that we have these in our home directory, let's cd into our home directory, cd tilde, and edit them. And for lack of a better editor, we'll just use vi. So let's type in vi connect-standalone.properties. And the main thing we need to change is the bootstrap server to specify the host that we're running on and the correct port. So I'm going to go down there with the arrow keys and then hit the I key to go into insert mode in vi. Move to the end of this line, delete that host, and substitute my own, which is sandbox.hortonworks.com:6667. Okay, that's all I need to change in this one. So I can hit escape to get out of insert mode, :WQ to write and quit this file. Now we need to also modify the connect file sync, which is the file we're going to write our results into. And what I need to do is change the file name for one thing to where I actually want to write it. So hit I again to get into insert mode. Go to the end of that, and I will type in where I want to store the results. So let's listen and store this stream into /home/maria_dev/logout.txt. So output from the log that we're listening to. And we need to specify the topic that we're going to listen to. What should we call it? How about, I don't know, log-test. Make it meaningful, right? Escape, :WQ. And let's finally edit the file source properties. Similar exercise here. So hit I to go into insert mode. The file we're going to listen to is going to be /home/maria_dev/access_log_small.txt. And that's just going to be a sample of an actual access log I have from a real web server that I run. So kind of a real world example here. Now, if it was a real web server, it would probably just be called access_log or something. Most HTTP web servers, or Apache at least, will write all of its access log entries into an access log folder inside the log folder of the HTTP server and rotate those logs off periodically. So that would be all you would need to do in the real world for publishing new lines of your access log from a web server. Also need to change the topic, make that consistent with the one that we're listening to, which was log-test. Escape, :WQ. All right, everything should be configured. So let's get that access log we were talking about. I put a copy of it for you at wget http://media.sun.soft.com/hadoop/access_log_small.txt. And there you have it. Take a little peek at it. Let's access log small text. And you can see these are actual log entries from my nohatenews.com website. Check it out if you're curious. And you can see I'm getting crawled by some robot here, it seems. So actually it's, is it a robot? Or it might be my cache. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's it's entries from an access log on a web server. Hit Q to get out of that. All right, so before we start publishing data from that log file, let's set up a consumer to actually listen to it on the side here as well. So in addition to using our connector to both publish and consume this log data's information and store it off to a file, I'm also going to set up another consumer over here to just kind of watch it in real time. So let's set up our consumer here to just print out what's being published on that test log topic. We're in the bin folder here already inside the Kafka broker folder, so I can just say, well, let's remind you where we are here. /Kafka-console-consumer.sh-bootstrap server sandbox.hortonworks.com:6667. So again, we're telling it where to connect to Kafka. --topic. The topic name we're listening to is log-test. And --zookeeper remains running on localhost :2181. All right, so at this point we are listening to anything being published on the log test topic at the same time that we're using our connector to both listen to changes on our access log and publish changes to it. So back to our other console here. Let's actually kick off our connector that will listen to changes on that file and publish them out. And we'll go back to user HTTP current Kafka broker/bin, and we're going to say ./connect-standalone, which sets up our little standalone connector. And we're going to give it as parameters the 3 property files that we edited earlier. So that's going to be tilde for our home directory /connect-standalone.properties. Then we'll give it the configuration for the source, the publisher, which is tilde/connect file source.properties, and the configuration for our consumer, which is connect file sync.properties. All right, let's kick it off. This will take a few seconds to get spun up. And check it out, it's humming away. And there it goes, so pretty cool. So over here we see that we received the lines from our log there, pretty cool. And that came across automatically from our connector that just listened to changes on that log file and published them on the log test subject. So this is a little bit closer to a real world scenario where we have a connector that's just listening for changes to a log file and publishing them on this topic through Kafka through some system that listens for them. Now let's open up a third window here. I'm going to right click on PuTTY here and go to create another HTTP session. And we'll log in again as Maria_dev. Assuming I can type it. All right, so let's do a few things here. Go to our home directory, and we should see a logout.txt file. Let's see what's in it. Sure enough, there's a copy of our login there. So that was the connector's consumer that was automatically publishing data to a file in a different location. So if you remember, we set up our standalone connector to listen to changes on our log file and then publish them to this logout.txt file somewhere else. So in the real world, that would probably be on a different server, maybe in HDFS somewhere, right? And we're also listening to it from this consumer over here. So we've got 2 consumers going on at the same time for this same publisher. And let's just show you again that this is really working in real time. So let's add a line to our access log. Dynamically here, we can say echo this is a new line /n quote, and append that to access log small.txt, and we should see it come through. Yeah, sure enough, right away. This is a new line popped up over on our consumer up here. So there you have it, it worked. Let's go ahead and exit out of this and Control-C out of both of these, and we can shut everything down. Control-C and exit, exit, And if we want to really clean things up, we can go back to Ambari and shut down the Kafka service because we are done with it for now. All right, and thus ends our playing with Kafka. Let's move on to our next streaming technology.